Welcome to the 10-minute series of videos related to competency-based programs. My name is Madeline Bazurgi from the Office of Academic Development at Dawson College, and I'm pleased to present the first in the series, Competency-Based Programs in Under 10 Minutes. What are they? Just what are competency-based programs? Do you remember the good old days of pulling all-nighters in order to cram material for an exam? Just how much of the material do you remember now? Or how much of the material did you actually remember the next day? Did cramming all this course material before an exam, assuming it was retained, make you a better journalist, a better teacher, or a better engineer? I think most of us would agree that knowledge is important, but that we learn best when we dive right in, to write a blog, to build a robot, to teach a class, to conduct research, or even to make decisions. When we pool or mobilize all our resources in order to solve a problem, perform a task or an analysis, or even ask the right questions, we are leveraging our knowledge to learn more effectively. This is starting to look more like a focus on competencies. So what are the resources we are talking about? These are the knowledge we've acquired, the skills we developed, our attitudes, our abilities and capabilities. When we create something new, when we evaluate or analyze situations and apply learning from what we understood and recalled, we unpack and draw upon our baggage of knowledge, skills, and attitudes, all the while leveraging our abilities, capabilities, and experience. What are competencies? Competencies are this in action. Let's take a look at a more formal definition. According to Hartel and Fojting, competencies commonly define the applied skills and knowledge that enable people to successfully perform in professional, educational, and other life contexts. In a college environment, competencies help students achieve learning outcomes and apply learning to new situations. Here are some examples of competency statements taken from different ministerial programs. From the creative arts sector, to perform musical works, to take photographs of social events and portraits. From science, to apply the methods of differential calculus to the study of functions and problem solving. From social science, to analyze a thematic issue from a multidisciplinary perspective in social science. And finally, from a technology program in chemistry, to perform organic chemistry and biochemistry analyses using molecular spectrometry. We said that a competency is defined by the ability of a person to apply knowledge, to apply skills, and demonstrate relevant attitudes. Let's take a look at a specific competency to explain what we mean by developing the baggage students will need to exercise the competency to perform musical works. In our fictitious program, we choose to develop this competency on the piano. Of course, students will have to build knowledge of musical genres, music theory, the structure of classical music, the jazz greats and their music, etc. At the same time, students will develop keyboard and sight reading skills and techniques. They'll be able to play different scales, arpeggios, and chords, and place from simple to complex musical pieces in different genres. When they're advanced enough, they'll also apply solo techniques. And all this while expressing the attitudes of showmanship, artistry, punctuality, collaboration, and listening. A great musician works with other musicians where listening and collaboration skills are important. And let's not forget punctuality. You can see that the competency is a lot more complex than the individual knowledge, skills, and attitudes that students will be developing. The student's ability to mobilize what they have learned, that is the competency. Now we're ready to consider the question, what are competency-based programs? Competency-based programs are programs focused on the development of competencies rather than on delivery of content. Knowledge is important, there is no denying it, but in competency-based programs, the emphasis is on what students do with that knowledge rather than on how well they retain it. Competency-based programs are learner-centered. This has implications for pedagogy and for both the role of students and teachers in the program. Instead of being a vehicle for knowledge transfer, competency-based programs are designed to help learners build and leverage knowledge, skills, and attitudes in order to exercise competencies. This has implications for pedagogy. In competency-based programs, learning outcomes are driven by the competencies to be developed, and some assessments attest to the achievement of competencies rather than the ability of retaining material. We will explain what we mean by some assessments in another presentation on assessment and competency-based programs. Let's take a look at this author, Yuval Harari, who wrote Homo Deus, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, and Sapiens. He's an historian with a bibliography consisting of thousands of books. He has a tremendous amount of disciplinary knowledge. As a teacher offering a history course in a competency-based program, he would share some of his knowledge as well as encourage his students to research one or more periods in history, to think critically about what they read, and ask the right questions. He will also ask them to make links to contemporary issues. As an assessment, students might be asked to analyze momentous transformations in human civilization in order to make predictions for a post-COVID-19 society and then present their work. His students would probably not be asked to remember facts nor be tested with a multiple choice or fill-in-the-blanks test. Instead, at the end of the course, students would remit a paper and present a summary to their classmates. So where do we find program information? The Ministry of Education produces what is called a devis for each of the career and pre-university programs. This is a document or framework that presents the aims and goals of college programs and of the specific program, and elaborates both what we call general and specific education. The devis ensures that graduates of the program, regardless of which college they studied at, would be competent at an entry level in the occupation or possess the competencies needed for university studies. The ministry elaborates each one of the general and specific education competencies as objectives and standards. The ministerial devis does not specify the program courses. That's because the ministry gives each college local autonomy in designing their program. After analyzing the ministerial devis, the colleges choose courses, determine their sequencing, and create the learning and assessment activities that will develop the competencies and attest to their achievement. A program design document is produced after a long and complex consultation process. This document serves to orient faculty and as a framework for developing courses. In another video, we will look at how programs are designed using the ministerial devis as a framework for the development of competencies. With this, we end the very first video in the series, Competency-Based Programs in Under 10 Minutes. I thank you for your attention and hope you stay tuned for the next presentation.